Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Easy Does It. And as you know, what we do on Easy Does It is we talk about application, we talk about market share, and we're now going to be doing flavor notes as well. So let's kick off with market share. Dietz, run us through.
Okay, so market share wise, we have the top three here being, I'm going to start with the top and work it down. Starting with Flavor West Hazelnut, it's used in 5,240 recipes at an average of 1%, 1.02%. And following that, the second favorite is FA Hazel Grove Hazelnut, used in 417 recipes at an average of 0.63%. And then third favorite from all the flavors is TPA Hazelnut, used in 217 recipes at an average of 1.39%.
That's ATF, right?
This is ATF, correct. This is on all the flavors. I had to restart. All right, so on e-liquid recipes, we have also got hazelnut, Flavor West Hazelnut in the first place, used in 38,641 recipes. Second favorite is TPA Hazelnut, used in 9,799 recipes. And then third favorite on e-liquid recipes, ELR, is Hazelnut Hazel Grove, used in 7,945 recipes. So just looking at these two sites, it's definitely Flavor West Hazelnut that is used the most. Richard, what applications can you talk about these?
Well, let's talk about the single flavor test first, and then Richard can close up for us. So I did a single flavor test at 1%. And what I found was very smooth and creamy at 1% with just a touch of sweetness. Not so much hazelnut forward, but there's a nutty element towards the end. Felt like it was sitting in the middle in a single flavor test. So not so much, at the top, of course, and not so much as a base note at the bottom. So it feels like it wants to be in the middle. It needs to have stuff on top and below it. So what I said was, in simpleton terms, I think Flavor West Hazelnut should be the slutty one in the mix. It needs to be in the middle. Delicious, nutty, sugary vibe it leaves on the palate or on your lips. Then I went up to 2%, still extremely smooth and creamy. However, the actual hazelnut flavor started coming through a lot more. Okay, with that, on my palate, a slight bitterness started appearing at about 2%. And then what I said was, I couldn't see you pushing it beyond, because that bitterness will just become a little bit more prominent. You know what I mean? So at 2% is probably where I will stop pushing it for this flavor. Richard, applications?
In terms of FW Hazelnut, I think where we need to start off is with an observation that Wayne made recently. He was talking about Flavora pistachio, and he said the problem with it is that it's too authentic, and that counts against it. He was talking about TFA pistachio being the more popular one, and the one that is easier to use and more accommodating in mixes than the more realistic pistachios like FA and Flavora. And pretty much the same thing applies in the hazelnut sector. The most realistic one for me is the FA Hazel Grove. That is a very dry, quite a green, raw hazelnut with the skin on. It's a very pungent flavor. It stands out in a mix. You can't use it very high. Whereas FW, for me, tastes like you took a whole bag of hazelnuts and put them in a blender and put in a ladle full of oil and then just blended everything so that you got this sort of hummus-like hazelnut paste out of the blender at the end. So it's not a candied hazelnut, or it's not awful or unrealistic, but it's just, it's toned down, it's made creamy or pasty, if I can put it that way. That very dry, astringent nut note has been dialed down. So it's not as authentic as FA, but that makes it a lot easier to work with. Now, for me, hazelnut, there are 5 Flavor West flavors that you can put in your trolley straight away. That's butterscotch ripple, blood orange, yellow cake, blueberry, and then before any of those, hazelnut. Hazelnut is for me the marquee flavor for Flavor West. It's the very first Flavor West flavor that I would buy. So who wants this? It's people who do milks, milkshakes, cereals, creams, bakeries, coffees, and even to a degree probably tobaccos and chocolates as well. Now, the reason it works for all these is not because it imparts a strong hazelnut flavor. It's because that hazelnut paste adds a sort of malted, earthy, realistic, fairly savory, just an accent note. It adds malt into your cereal milk or into your milkshake, which makes it closer to the actual cereal milk or milkshake. It adds just that slight accent element into a cream that just thickens it, adds a slight savory note that just buffs out that cream. Bakery, same thing, adds that slightly dark note, just buffs it out, adds a bit of interest, adds a bit of thickness. So it really becomes like a cheat code. It's almost like putting 0.5% of Flavora cream in a cream, or putting 1.5% of TFA strawberry ripe in a fruit, or 0.5% of your favorite coconut in a cream, just to buff out those creams. It's something that you can add between 0.5 and 1% to a vast range of mixes, and it just adds that X factor into the mix. You can't taste it on its own, but the mix is certainly better with it than without. Now, it's not just used in milks, creams, bakeries. It also has application in fruits. Matthew Cassander, Coke Can, is the guy who is largely credited with discovering the magic that FW hazelnut in particular adds to fruits. What he found is that if you add it to strawberry combos, it ripens and reddens the strawberries. So if you've got a slightly green strawberry, the strawberries aren't as ripe as you would like, put in 0.5% of FW hazelnut, and that apparently just adds another level to the ripeness of the strawberry. What it does as well is that it takes candied strawberries and makes them a little bit more realistic. I've also heard people say that it does magic things to orange mixes. I haven't tried either of those 2 applications, but the one application I have tried and where I can confirm that it works is in adding authenticity to bananas. I did a banana waffle using the OG Inawera waffle some time back. I used FA banana as the main banana in the mix. Now, that is a slightly green banana. It's not a fully ripe banana. So I put in, I think it was 0.7% of FW hazelnut, and it just ripens and makes that banana a little bit more authentic. So it doesn't just have application in creams, milks, and bakeries. You could also try it with fruits. Now, there's dozens of fruits that it hasn't been tried with yet, and it's not an intuitive choice. I mean, you wouldn't think of putting hazelnut with a watermelon or a pineapple or whatever. And that's not to say that it's not going to work with them, but if it works with strawberries and with oranges and with bananas, it's probably worth trying it with some other flavors. Just try them, see how it goes. But either way, even if you don't experiment with it in fruits, if you do cereal milks or milkshakes, you absolutely have to have this flavor in your stash. It's that ingredient X that just gives authenticity to a cereal milk and gives that thickening, that malting, that malty element that turns your milkshake into a Milky Lane, a commercial style, proper, restaurant blended milkshake. So it's absolutely one of the first flavors that I would add to my cart as a new mixer. For Flavor West, as I said, it's the first Flavor West flavor that I would go for, and certainly one of their top 5 flavors. And it's a no-lose flavor. With 5,240 recipes on ATF, you're going to find an application for it. It's a cost-effective flavor because the vast majority of recipes only use it at 0.5 to 1%. A 10 ml bottle will last you a long time. So it's a very low-risk purchase. If you're a DIY starting off, do yourself a favor and get Flavor West Hazelnut. Make it the first hazelnut you get, and it will most likely be one, maybe the only hazelnut you ever have, but certainly one of the 2 or 3 that you'll end up with. And that's my take on that.
Isn't this the first Flavor West flavor that we actually talk about on Easy Does It?
I think it is.
I think it is, yeah. Which is really bizarre because, this should have been probably one of the first ones that we talk about. But yeah, guys, there we go. So Richard really took us through in depth some of the applications that he's seen. We've got market share and flavored notes. But what we also want to know is from you guys, if you use it in a mix and anything different that we've mentioned tonight, leave it in the comments below. Or if there's anything else you want to add from a note perspective or market share, leave those in the comments below so that whoever opens up this video at a later stage, can check that out. But thank you so much for watching the show, guys. Cheers.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.